G'day and crikey and all that. Okay, coming to you live from a hovel next to an airport hangar in Joshua Tree. The dreaded Monday video. Yes, I had. Okay, if you're new to this channel, then you're going to have to scroll ahead to the actual hat. But I can't do an actual unboxing, which wouldn't even fit in the title anyway, because the thing didn't come in the usual box anyway, and yada yada. And the paperwork is different than the typical American paperwork that you get from David Morgan, which of course might be different than the paperwork from Village Hat Shop. But I think David Morgan is the more common place to get the wider assortment of Akubra hats, but they don't always have all the colors. So with some ado, this is not the Tablelands model. This is the Riverina model, which has a braided band instead of a ribbon, and it has 3 eye holes in a triangular pattern, and it has a taller crown with a teardrop and a pinch front-ish. Now, devotees, or the one guy anyway, will know that I had originally wanted to get the Territory hat in 2 colors, mostly this one that they call khaki, which as you can see is darker than what we typically call khaki, which is even lighter of a tan than this, but is not the same color as their sand, which is more of a stone color beige, but still beige. So why this is called sand is, pretty clearly understandable, and you can see the crown shape is different and has a lower profile. And this is the hat I've mostly been wearing this spring, and I had to get this in a larger size in a 58, whereas originally I had bought the Riverina in brand, and this one's kind of messed up, but we'll talk about that in a minute. This one, I had tried it in a 58 and it was just way too big, so I was able to get a 57 in a discontinued color, which again they call khaki, which is not obviously khaki because it's way darker than sand and almost more brown than green, but still greenish. So we'll get into the greenish. But so again, originally I wanted, and so this is a 57, and it's still a little loosey-goosey on me because this crown shape is different. So you want to watch for that. Again, I had to size up with this one, and it's a little bit loose. I sized correctly with this one, and it's still a little loose. Okay. But both have the same, 4-inch brim or whatever, 101 millimeters or whatever they size it as, and all that. So originally I was going to get this darker one that I didn't know what shade of green it was going to be, because we're going to talk about shades of green. And this one, on the other hand, is the Sandtone Fawn, which has now been replaced with eucalyptus, which again, if you put it next to something, this is kind of a light green, not quite a mint, but it's sage. If you put it next to something green, you see how it looks a little more brown, or something even more green that's still sage. I boxed away a lot of different green stuff already for next spring, so most of my green that's still out is more sage. It's not army green olive or forest green. But so as you can see, kind of, there's a green tint to both of these. But the difference between this one and this one is not as pronounced as I had expected, per se. I think either will kind of match most of my stuff reasonably well, but not be the same forest green. I did a long video about safari in 2 different colors. I did one about khaki and beige and that kind of thing, and stone and ivory, and one more about the shades of green for grasslands, again, sage being probably the most common. Whereas, we're not looking for any Irish Kelly green. That's definitely not quite. But this would work, again, in a safari tone, Pantone scheme or whatever in some applications, whereas this is more of a forest, closer to a pine green, but not as dark as some, but still not a Kelly green, but still not an army green. 50 Shades of Green. Thanks, Johnny Cash. Right. Anyway, so like I said, this would go okay with this. That, you know, this being a little bit darker than this, you could still wear it with this, but it would go slightly better with this. Right. Anyway. Okay. But of course, I also have a lot of stuff that is decidedly light brown, which is again different than chocolate, which is of course the kind of stuff that you might wear more in autumn. And so again, it's very subtle because in this lighting, you can't pick it up as much, but it's definitely greenish brown, but it's not sage. It's darker than sage. And of course, this is even more muted with less greenish tone in it. This is a faded brown, which if you took out the white, it would be chocolate. So you could illustrate that pretty well. When you put it next to something brown, it looks more brown than green. Whereas all this other stuff, if I put it next to something brown, then it really does look green more. Okay. So, okay, sorry for the long, long-ish preamble, but sorting all that. And I did get, which I showed both of these before, the Borges and Scott, which are a decent, less expensive hat, but a wool felt. And so this one you can really see. The one is chocolate, and the other is supposed to be Loden. And again, what Akubra calls Loden, I think, is more chocolate and less this. But this is still not that green. It's still kind of brownish and almost the same shade as this one. And this one being too big and this one being the right size, of course. Why I finally got it, even though I didn't necessarily need it because, like, I already had that other territory one or whatever. But I think I did, yeah. But, a decent hat. The brim a little bit shorter, a little bit thicker, a lot floppier, though. So kind of these will sail a little bit more in the wind, whereas this will just not protect you at all. So hit or miss. But a decent hat for $100 or whatever it was. But you can see the brim, a little bit less coverage, maybe almost an inch in most places. And a leather band, and decent overall, but just a thicker, heavier felt. And I'm not really wearing these thinner felt ones that much. Maybe a little bit in the morning, as I've said, to try and break them in. Again, this one being slightly, now the gal on the other end trying to help me out, because I said the felt never works much with me. They have a different felt apparently than the ones David Morgan sends out, because she asked me if the felt was worn out. Oh, I didn't show the crocodile down yet. Crikey, right, not finished yet. I just talked about that in the video last week, so I'm not going to talk about that again. So these little felt dealies are different than the ones that I have. So they sent me these that are a little too narrow. I don't know what I'm going to do, but they're much thicker, and they do have an adhesive backing. So I'm covering all the bases. And they sent me one that might be useful. I probably could have used about 4 of these, and maybe, because these are the ones that the other company sent. And you can put them in and cinch it up a little bit, but not all in the areas that I maybe want it, like especially to the side, where on the other hat there's even more finger room than this. But if I can stick my finger in here most of the way, that's still loose. Even, I don't know, if it shrinks 2 sizes like they say it might, then it'll be too tight and I'll have to, get it steamed or something. But for now, be all right. But so I was complaining about this. The thing I noticed about this, though, is when I put it in the front and the back, I did put it in this one for now, is it really messes up the inner band. And when I put in on the sides as well, it messed it up even more. Now I couldn't feel it against my head when I was wearing it. And you can see it white on white. Yeah. So I do have a couple of the felt bits in this one right now. And I don't necessarily like the result entirely, but supposedly once the hat shrinks down, you can take that out. But of course, I haven't been wearing this hat like I've been wearing the other hat. I only just put these in here to see how it performs, since that one with the chin strap, I've just been trying to use the heat of my head to shrink the thing and wear it that way. Oh, sorry, finished color. I do have one shirt that matches this hat exactly now, but it's a silly t-shirt that maybe I'll wear with it, maybe I won't. I tried to maximize my colors for this episode. Anywho, so those are all the things I can think of off the top of my head. Of course, those of you who have, pesky questions and things, I didn't put on the chat so I could get through this first part uninterrupted at least. But nobody's been watching so, because it's Monday. So anyway, so like I said, this one is a discontinued color. It's still available in the other model, the Territory, but you'd have to order it from Australia and pay the extra shipping and duties if you're here in the States or Canada or whatever. And so not necessarily cost effective, whereas I was able to find this one on closeout kind of deal and said, okay, it's not the crown shape that I prefer the look of for, the true safari movie character look. But since I already bought this hat in the other size, I figured this size would be correct and this color, I wanted to check it out. So there you go. So that's about, and like I said, it's more flattering for me than the brand color was. Hooray. And again, like I said, not the exact same color as this one, but similar, but not exact. So I don't know if this will fade and resemble this more and look like almost the exact same hat, but if that happens, this one will have faded more too. The new color is called Eucalypt, and supposedly it's the exact same as this color. I think it might be a little more brown than green, but it's hard to say because the website colors aren't completely accurate. They're more accurate than the Stetson colors so far, but they're still, again, this doesn't look exactly like I thought I was going to get. I thought it was going to be more of an olive, and I was worried it was going to be kind of more puke green. So it is technically an army green in the family thereof, but not exact to all the shades of army green, which again, I didn't bring all that stuff in here. A lot of it's boxed up. Okay, so 13 minutes in, for those of you who made it, this is not the Coober Pedy and it is not the Riverina. It is the Tablelands. So it is a different hat, and it does come in a darker green. It also comes in a sorrel tan, which is not exactly the same as the Eucalypt as far as I know, but it might be similar to the Eucalypt in the Sandtone Fawn. So this is more of the forest green color that I was talking about and looking at. And the crown is slightly different than the Riverina, slightly different in that it's a little more of a round and less of a long oval. So I was hoping it was going to fit me better. Now, at first I was going to order it in the larger size up because I was, again, worried about the shrinkage and the this and the that, but I had the Coober Pedy already. So I was pretty sure in the fern, which is a different color of green entirely, totally different shade. But so this perfect fits much better than that one. I got lucky because the woman said, from what you've told me, I'm sure you're going to want to go down the size instead of up the size. And that seems to be a good call because I was totally going to hedge my bets and get the larger size because everybody was screaming at me that they shrink and da-da-da. But in the meantime, this is a nice crown, a nice fit, a nice color. win all around. But this is not a discontinued. It just, you can't get it direct from the States for some reason. And I asked David Morgan about it last year, and they said no go. But you can see it similar to the Riverina, has basically the same 3 holes and the same similar leather band. Now I do prefer, again, kind of the larger holes in the look of the other crown for, again, a safari look, but this is not as much of a safari hat, however you want to split those hairs. And again, we don't have maximum coverage. We have the standard brim, same as the Territory or the Coober Pedy and the Adventurer that I got recently. So a slightly different crown shape, slightly different brim shape, definitely very different color. Yeah, so this was definitely the hat that I really, really wanted more than the Cattleman or even the Coober Pedy. Like I said, that Coober Pedy there was only one left, and I kind of liked the color, so I said, okay, we'll do it. But this one, definitely more of my shape, more of my size, more. Although that Coober Pedy fit me really good. That's why I thought this was going to fit better. But the Coober Pedy, not the exact same crown, close, but not quite as the Riverina. So that one does fit me a little better. So this one I'll have to, finagle with the foam stuff a little bit and see how it goes, I guess. But I'm not wild about that, because when you're paying, X number of dollars for a hat and it doesn't fit right, it's more insult to injury, as I've said over and over. And this brand, I want to say they run a little bit small, but this one's true to size. Not as bad as the Stetsons that definitely run wrong, where I have to size up pretty much almost always. And I didn't have that much problem with the Cody James. I forget which ones were which now, but Justin, Saratelli or whoever makes Justin, I think they ran small as well. But a couple of them it was Resistol and Saratelli, I think, where maybe they did run more true to size, but I could only get the smaller ones from Boot Barn, what was in stock, and I had to send them both back. Anywho, so again, yeah, we're not talking maximum coverage. Brim, and we're not. Yeah, I can put this one over this one. So again, you can see how it's a little bit big, not quite as snug, not lined, has the sticker. The other ones, I kind of showed the inside already, but I'll show it again in case you missed the plastic. Some of the territories, I guess, come without the lining now or whatever. I don't know. But some of them are called a work hat and some of them are called a leisure hat or something. But the work hats are supposed to be unlined, but these are still lined. But they always talk about ones like the Riverina and the Coober Pedy as being your town hat, where you might wear it out for a night with drinks. Why you would need 100mm brim for a night out? There's no sun out. You don't need a brim. You don't really need this one out at night either. But if you want it to look more elevated, as they say, or elegant, then they say this one or the Coober Pedy maybe. But this one, I think, is still considered a work hat because it does not have any lining, and it does not have all the same frills as the other one. I didn't show the inside of the Riverina. Well, that's it won't focus, but I can read it maybe. South Street, Australia. There's some other words. This one doesn't have the, what does it say in the front? Oh, it says Tablelands. Okay. It says Tablelands in the front of the crown. Master Hatter. Whereas the Riverina, it says Riverina, which I think is slightly different than the other one I had. And then the logo instead. And then the made in Australia instead of South Street. Whatever. And this one has an instructions tag that I didn't read. Sorry, it keeps going blurry. Sorry, because I'm moving around too much. You know, keep out of the reach of children, may cause cancer in California. No, it doesn't really. Yeah, after you shrink, I'll have to find a child with elevated taste and a nice fat bank account to try and buy them because I have a small head. Makes hat shopping less fun. Brush hat, anti-clockwise, remove dust and maintain appearance. Do not dry clean or wash. For small spot stains, apply cleansing fluid sparingly. Yada, yada, yada. If you want to get a magnifying glass and read this. Do not force dry. Supposedly don't throw it in your car. Don't throw it in the dryer. Just let it air hang. You know, yeah. I left the other one in the car for a couple hours and didn't do anything, but your results may vary. And if you live in Lake Havasu, the hat's going to be in a hot car half the year. I don't know what to tell you. So do not place the hat in sunlight when not being worn. It may shrink excessively. Now, I don't know that it's actually the felt that shrinks so much as the leather. I'm still a little fuzzy on all those details. I've watched a bunch of videos, and I don't know how anybody in Australia could actually own this hat then, because the whole country, as far as I know, is pretty much no shade in 120 degrees Fahrenheit all year round. I'm joking again. And again, what this is supposed to do, I'm not really sure either. They look like little tusk bones or ribs or something, but not. Yeah, not as thick as I might want width-wise. Although plenty thick girth-wise. I don't know, what do you call that? I don't know all the technical terms for dimensions right now off the top of my head. Anyway, so this is this hat, and it has a bound edge instead of a raw edge, which I didn't really show the raw edge, but you can see it. There you go. Because if you're watching this video, you've already seen a bunch of other Akubra videos anyway. But here I am making my video because I feel special that I finally got the hat that I probably wanted more than 3 of the other ones, but overall a decent felt collection from Akubra. Okay, 22 minutes. We're good. We're good. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. Sorry, I disabled the chat for my no viewers so far because it's Monday. And yeah, like maybe a week early for my wardrobe shift or whatever, but I don't know if I'll be wearing this hat all that much in the next month because it will be August. And I'm in California, not Australia. So it's not winter here. And as always, you can buy me a coffee or a pizza. I've activated that little link deal. And if you're feeling generous, you can help buy me more hats or pay off some of the other ones that I bought this spring that weren't entirely planned, but with all the tariff woe fears markup things and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And if you want my dating advice, it's boycott Tinder. Don't give your money to consumer fraud apps that don't care if you ever meet the woman of your dreams or the love of your life, if you happen to be a gal watching this. Because again, there's probably plenty of good men out there, but most of the ones on these apps are not them. Kind of funny how that works. All right. So signing out, off, under, down under.